morning, I'm James Gruber and welcome to the Morning Report for Monday the 30th of March. Well, the war in the Middle East is into its second month, and for the past few Mondays, there's been a lot to catch up on after the weekend. Some key headlines that markets are set to react to today. Pakistan says it'll soon host talks between the US and Iran. The proposed dialogue comes as the war seems to have escalated. Iran says it's waiting for US troops and has threatened to set them on fire and punish their regional partners forever. It comes after about 1,200 US Marines arrived in the Middle East. Meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu instructed the military to further expand the existing security buffer zone in southern Lebanon. As for the local trading session here, we're expecting a fall when our market opens for the week. The ASX 200 futures point to a 0.8% drop. To recap, on Friday, the ASX 200 closed lower, dropping 9 points or 0.1% to 8,516. The index is down 2.3% year to date. Miners were relatively flat on the day, but gold miners slumped 1.5%. And they're now down 28% for the month. Energy stocks rose 0.9% as higher oil prices continued to support the sector. It was their seventh consecutive weekly gain, a streak last seen in 2018. Santos was up 1.3%, while Woodside advanced 0.3%. Moving to commodities, global oil prices rose on Friday and notched weekly gains, reflecting scepticism about prospects for a ceasefire. Brent crude was 4.2% higher to $112.57 a barrel. Base metals advanced in volatile trading on Friday. Copper futures were up 0.4%, supported by data showing that industrial profits in China grew 15% over January and February. Meanwhile, aluminium futures were 0.9% higher on persistent supply worries. Gold futures jumped 3% on Friday on dip buying as investors tracked Middle East tensions. The futures settled at $4,493 an ounce. Meanwhile, iron ore futures were steady, up 0.1% to $106.22 a tonne. Let's look at currencies. The Aussie dollar was last trading down 0.2% to 68.67 US cents due to safe haven buying of the US dollar. Now let's go back a step to see how Wall Street and other world markets did. The Dow Jones index fell 1.7%, as did the S&P 500, while the Nasdaq index plunged 2.1%. Markets took little solace from US President Donald Trump's announcement that he gave Iran another 10 days to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face the destruction of its energy plants after Iran rejected his proposals to end the war. The Dow is now down more than 10% from its February 10 record close, becoming the latest major index to confirm a correction, commonly defined as a drop of 10% from its prior high. The Dow follows the Nasdaq in crossing that correction threshold. Megacaps were the biggest drag on the benchmark S&P index, with Nvidia down 2.2% as the biggest weight, while Amazon dropped 4%. Software shares were also under renewed selling pressure, and the S&P 500 Software and Services Index closed at its lowest level since November 2023. Along with pressure from Amazon, consumer discretionary stocks dropped 3.1%, the worst performing of the 11 major S&P sectors, as cruise operator Carnival slumped 4.3% after cutting its annual adjusted profit forecast. Fellow cruise operator Norwegian Cruise Line tumbled 6.9%. US government bond yields rose on Friday as uncertainty persisted around the Iran war and elevated energy prices as well as inflation. The US 10-year Treasury yield advanced 3 points to 4.44%, while the US 2-year Treasury yield was up 7 points to 3.92%. To the European markets now, the continent-wide FTSE Euro First 300 index ended down 0.9%, while the UK FTSE 100 was 0.1% lower. Europe fell on Friday but logged a modest gain for the week, illustrating the conflicting signals from the Middle East that investors have had to grapple with. German equities dropped 1.4%, while Spanish stocks slipped 1%. Among individual stocks, Pernod Ricard advanced 8% after the spirit maker said it's in discussions for a possible merger with Jack Daniel's owner Brown-Forman. AstraZeneca added 3.4% after the drug maker said its experimental respiratory treatment, Tazorocimab, met its main goals in 2 late-stage trials. So what are we watching out for this week? In Australia this week, on Tuesday, the minutes of the March RBA Monetary Policy Board meeting will be released. They may provide insights into the decision-making behind the 0.25% rise in the cash rate to 4.10%. We also get data on private credit growth, building approvals, and international trade in goods, as well as job vacancies. All of this will cover a period prior to the outbreak of the Iran conflict, and so will only give us insights on how the economy was performing heading into the current energy price shock. In the US, there are retail sales and jobs data later this week. US Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is also due to speak on Tuesday morning, Sydney time. Investors will be watching for any commentary on inflation, interest rates, and the economic outlook amid the Iran conflict. And that's it for today. For further developments on the local trading session, please tune into the CommSec Market Update podcast this afternoon, and of course, the Market Close video. Have a great day.